Hunter! Away we go on a Wednesday edition. Mr. Relevant, I'm Alex Strouf with you from the Gruber Offices One Call Atzel Studio at the Avenue downtown Milwaukee. Will Sommers is here. Hunter Vaughn is always back at the Everlight Solar Studio in downtown Madison. That I had to leave with that. That was some would say a leadoff. Some would say that. Salvatore Frelick, leadoff home run for the Brewers. Here in game one of a doubleheader for them today after getting rained out in New York yesterday. They got a doubleheader with the Mets. Game one just underway, and Sal Frelick, leadoff home run. Good stuff. Good stuff there. That's probably the extent of Brewers talk today, though, unless he hits another one.
Really? Well, I have a question.
Dino's pitching today?
Freddie fastball? Miz is later. Miz pitches the night, though, so we won't be here for that.
True, but big day of pitching.
Big day of pitching. Freddie fastball and Miz. Go ahead, Hunter. Did you say you have a question?
Yeah, because Molly Brown, I think, is a lunatic here at ESPN Madison, and she said that
that could mean several different things, but go on.
Yeah, well, she said that she thinks doubleheaders in baseball are stupid.
Bad take.
Yeah, and I just needed to bring that up. Like, Will, you played baseball. Like, doubleheaders are awesome, right?
I personally loved playing doubleheaders because you finish the first game and then you have 20 minutes to kind of just mess around, eat some snacks, and then you're right back into a second game.
Hold on. What was your go-to doubleheader snack?
Well, it depends. It depends because like a family member or somebody on the team, we would like rotate bringing snacks.
Oh, so it was like Little League soccer, watermelon, and drink pouches.
So I'd grab like a walking taco and then go play hacky sack for like 15 minutes. It was awesome.
Were you a hacky sack guy?
Huge hacky sacker.
Still?
I don't get to play as much, but we would get some big games together before and in between games. It was a lot of fun.
Wow. Okay. Hacky sack. Something I've never done.
I do remember one time though, somebody's parents made chili. That didn't go well.
Oh yeah, everybody's got poops.
Yeah, that's
that wasn't
bad
good.
idea.
It was a cold day and it was good at the time.
Warmed you up, sure.
Yeah, but as the game went on, when you're playing 2 9-inning doubleheaders, didn't go over too well.
Fascinating. All right, plenty to get into today on Mr. Irrelevant. Although if you're watching on the ESPN Milwaukee stream, this is Wildy and Tausch. Nice job, Will.
Sorry.
It's all right, man. We'll get that fixed. Well, I had a situation before the show, so I actually shouldn't yell at Will for this. So oftentimes we have a sandwich shop up the street, and oftentimes right before Mr. Irrelevant starts around noon, I will walk to the sandwich shop and pick up a sandwich that I ordered on my phone. Today, however, I got there and my sandwich was not there. And I said the person behind the counter, I was like, hey, I ordered this 20 minutes ago. Where's this at? And they said, well, it's on the shelf. I said, no, it's not. It's not on the shelf. And they said, well, it was on the shelf. I said, I understand that, but it's not there now. And so a lady came out and she started shuffling through all the bags on the shelf. Then they go, oh no, somebody stole it. Somebody stole your sandwich. And I go, oh no, what do we do now? And they go, oh, we'll make you a new one. And I was like, okay, but it's 12:15. I have a show. Okay, whatever. Anyway, I got back in time. We're here. So little situation. Some scoundrel went into a sandwich shop, stole my sandwich. And now I'm just thinking, we don't need like security for a sandwich shop, right? We don't need that. That's not the point of America we're in. We just need to have a little bit more morals. If you see somebody orders a steak sandwich, keep it for them,
Does there need to be a better system to ensure that this doesn't happen? Because I know at Chipotle, there's a trend of people that would just go to Chipotle and take something free off the shelf and not pay for it. Yeah,
for me, I guess maybe keep it behind the counter because I had to show them my order on my phone. They were treating me like the scoundrel. Like I was double dipping, which I wasn't. I mean, look at me. I can't probably eat 2 sandwiches even if I tried. So, so that was a little pre-show excitement. But
so there's a restaurant in Middleton that my wife and I frequent, and we regularly on Sundays will order to go. And I will just walk in there and just grab the bag and walk out. No one says anything to me. Like, they have no idea. I do think we need a level of, like, okay, let's keep this behind a counter. You have to go up and, like, show your order.
On. Well, you should be able to trust your neighbor, it would be my take. Now, despite the fact that we're in downtown Milwaukee and there's a lot of people walking around, I understand why sandwiches get stolen. In Middleton, I would think like you got to trust your neighbor. You know, it's still a big community, but
I'm pretty sure
anyway.
their signs say like the great neighbor city or something like that too. But I don't trust everyone else. I'm not a good neighbor.
I grabbed your sandwich yesterday for you too.
You did,
with
yeah.
Your name on it.
Big time. Yeah, big time. You were clutch that day.
You're welcome.
A lot of Bucks coverage yesterday, so I didn't really have the opportunity to eat lunch. So shout out to you, Will. But let's dive into some of that Buck stuff because, I mean, what a crazy couple of days it's been, right? We talked Monday, and the big news Monday was Bobby was back, which is a big signing. Do not get me wrong, right? Bobby is a huge, crucial depth piece. He's a fan favorite, cult hero, the mayor of Milwaukee. Like, this is a guy who you want on your team. But now, 48 hours later, as we're talking, Bobby Portis and Giannis Antetokounmpo are the only members of the Bucks championship roster remaining from 2021, now with Pat Connaughton traded out and Brook Lopez signing with the Los Angeles Clippers on Monday night. So you've got a little bit of a new look Bucks. Not completely new look, and we'll obviously get to the big Myles Turner signing in a second, but you've got a new look Bucks to a point. The point in which you have a new look Bucks is Myles Turner in town. The point you don't really have a new look Bucks is Kevin Porter Jr.'s back. Good signing. Gary Trent Jr. is back. Great signing, I would argue, because I think he left money on the table. And then Taurean Prince is back, which again, good depth piece, likely coming off the bench. I would assume he doesn't start. He might, but they kind of miscasted him as a 2-guard last year, and that's not really his role, right? He's more of I would view him more as a stretch 3 or stretch 4. So Taurean Prince, good depth piece. Like that signing. The Myles Turner signing is earth-shattering, life-changing. Now, again, I'm not going to sit here and make the case that the Bucks are the Eastern Conference favorite all of a sudden because of the Myles Turner signing, but it came completely out of left field. And the thing with this signing that we need to acknowledge, and I thought our friend Pratik, who formerly produced Homer and Gabe on ESPN Milwaukee and ESPN Madison way back in the day, still with our company, does a ton of other things here at ESPN Wisconsin. He had a thread on Twitter at I think it's Pratik ESPN or Patel ESPN on kind of, you know, I think he said he was making dinner and thinking about the Bucks last 48 hours. And I thought he put it really well, which is essentially this. John Horst doesn't care about life after Giannis. He cares about life with Giannis. And as a Bucks fan, you should also only care about life with Giannis. Because once Giannis leaves, it's probably not John Horst's, problem anymore anyway. Once Giannis leaves, John Horst is probably out too, or has a very short leash at that point. And if you don't have Giannis, you're probably not going to be a contender anyway. Right? Milwaukee, as much as I love it, and I intend to stay here the rest of my life, I don't think from an NBA perspective it's the most appealing city. Right? If you talk to players that have played in the NBA and ask them their least favorite city to play in, a lot of them will answer Milwaukee or Indianapolis or, those are Salt Lake City. Like those are the 3 that come up the most. So it's not the most appealing market. Similarly to, as Aaron Rodgers used to say, people come to Green Bay to play with me. People are coming to Milwaukee to play with Giannis because they realize that this team is contending for a championship when they have one of the top 3 players in the world in Giannis Antetokounmpo. So a guy like Myles Turner doesn't wind up in Milwaukee like nobody expected without Giannis. So John Horst doing what he did because you had to make other moves in order to fit Myles Turner on your roster. The move they made, of course, waiving guard Damian Lillard and spreading his remaining $113 million of salary over the course of the next 5 years, which is over $22 million a year of cap that the Bucks are going to be unable to use. So that is clearly a swing of, hey, we need to capitalize on the now. We need to capitalize on the right now. We need to capitalize on Giannis being here, and we only know for sure that Giannis is here the next 2 seasons. So screw that gap year BS that everybody's been talking about the last couple of months. It's about right here, right now. So that's why you bring in a guy like Myles Turner. Now, Myles Turner, let's acknowledge what he is and who he is. He's a good NBA player. He's a really good NBA defender. He is a good offensive piece. He is not great. He is not the best big in the league. He was the best free agent in this class, And he's probably a top 5 big in the Eastern Conference. And of course, you wouldn't put Giannis in that category of quote unquote big because Giannis is essentially positionless. But with Myles Turner, I think he does everything Brook Lopez did well better. I think offensively, defensively, what Brook Lopez is right now, Myles Turner does it better. Maybe not than he ever did, but than he did for the Bucks over the course of the last few seasons. So without a doubt, this is an undeniable upgrade at the center position for the Bucks. They paired somebody with Giannis who will allow him to do the things Giannis does best even better. Right? You can put Myles Turner in the lane defensively, and Giannis can kind of play all over. Offensively, you've got two powerful big men that are capable of a lot, and then Giannis obviously capable of more. And Myles Turner can shoot threes, so if he kicks out to the corner, you have that ability if Giannis is plugging up the middle. So I think from a creative standpoint for this Bucks team, obviously this is a win. But I don't think the Bucks can be done yet. Because right now, on paper, it tells me the Bucks are back in championship contention because the Eastern Conference is wide open. But when you think contender for 25-26, you're going to list off several teams before you get to the Milwaukee Bucks. I mean, we can just do it, right? Oklahoma City Thunder, Houston Rockets, Boston Celtics, Cleveland Cavaliers. You're going to name multiple teams before you get to the Bucks. They're probably 8th or 9th, right? They're probably the 8th or 9th team you name, regardless of conference, when it comes to competing for a championship, truly competing for a championship next season. So where that leads me to is, well, what's next? Right, I think the big one, and I know Bucks Twitter is all over this. I've seen the anti-Kyle Kuzma propaganda all over Twitter. Like, when you acquire Myles Turner, you've seen all the highlights of Myles Turner as a member of the Indiana Pacers. Bucks Twitter, right? And what that means is just Bucks fans that run accounts that are like Bucks, whatever, right? Bucks Realm, I know, is one of them. And they're tweeting, they're tweeting highlight clips of Myles Turner, which is great. But last night I noticed we took a term about 9 p.m. It was lowlights of Kyle Kuzma because people are advocating for the trade of Kyle Kuzma because he's still an asset. I just don't know if you're competing for championships, he's an asset. And as it stands right now, as you run down the Bucks roster, unfortunately, he's probably like your number 3 guy, number 4 guy. You need to upgrade that. And what the Bucks truly need is a legitimate ball handler, because I talked about it yesterday on our specialty coverage if you joined us from 12 until 2. I imagine offensively the Bucks, as it stands right now, are probably leaning into this evolution in the NBA of like the point forward, meaning Giannis will likely bring the ball up and kind of run the offense. And then you have your other guy who you re-signed on a nice deal in Kevin Porter Jr., who's more your true point guard, but you'd probably rather have the ball in Giannis's hands to start off every offensive possession. And then when you get to a point of like a press break, if you're in a close game and teams are full court pressing you, I mean, do you have a ball handler you can truly rely on? That's a part where I get stuck. You need a true point guard in some capacity. And that's probably the move they need to make next. And whether that's via a trade and you package Kyle Kuzma and your remaining first round pick to acquire somebody, or you go veteran minimum. Here's the thing. A name that obviously has come up a lot, and has come up a lot for me is Russell Westbrook. Number one, because he's my favorite player of all time. I love Russell Westbrook. But I would be the strongest advocate against signing Russell Westbrook in Milwaukee because his style of play and the way he dictates a basketball game is something a team would need to adjust to rather than Russell Westbrook adjusting to the team. And that's where I think he's going to have a tough time finding a perfect landing spot, especially with a contender, because as you saw in Denver, he won them games and he lost them games in this past postseason. So he's a hard one. But, I mean, in terms of the price tag, that could be a guy that could fall into this category for the Bucks of, okay, if we're going to go veteran minimum, maybe Russell Westbrook's one of those guys. So I don't think the Bucks are quite done yet because this doesn't scream contender to me. But in a wide open Eastern Conference, and when you have the best player in the Eastern Conference, I still think they can make more noise than they did a year ago or the year prior, losing to the Indiana Pacers in the first round. So that's where my head's at after this ruckus 48 hours, is better than they were 48 hours ago. I think they have more of an angle to get back to the NBA Finals in the Eastern Conference than they did 48 hours ago. But we will see. Ron chimes in, why the Celtics? They lost Tatum, Drew, and KP. Yeah, I mean, they're not a top 2 team in the Eastern Conference right now. I was just rattling off names, right? Knicks, who just hired Mike Brown. I don't view that as a huge upgrade from Tom Thibodeau, by the way. Cavaliers, I think those are the top 2 in the East, and then I think it's just a jumbled mess of the rest of them, right? I think it's the Magic, the Hawks, the Bucks, the Celtics, and that's probably your 1 through 6 next year. The Pistons, 1 through 7. Those are the teams that I view in the mix in the Eastern Conference after the Knicks and the Cavaliers at the top of the conference. So sorry if I misspoke, but I'm with you, Ron. Obviously, the Celtics, not the threat they were the past few years.
I think it's also, when you look at the East, when it comes to Detroit and Orlando, those are 2 teams that they've never made deep runs with these guys on their team. So they're going to have to figure out what playoff basketball is like. And I just keep going back to Anthony Edwards talking about that last year. And he was like, I didn't realize what it's like to have to go multiple rounds through the NBA playoffs. Like, it takes a lot out of a team, and it is really difficult to win all of those games. So I like the Bucks having the veteran leadership that they do, with Giannis having made the run and Bobby having done that, and Kyle Kuzma, if he sticks around. Like, they have guys who have done it, who can help some of these younger guys and go further in the playoffs because of that, because they know what it's like.
And don't forget the guy they just added, Myles Turner, who's fresh off an NBA Finals run, right? I mean, so they've got a ton of veteran presence and guys that have been there before, which I think does help them, at least in the intermediate. But how much does it help them? I mean, and we'll get to Tim Bontemps in a second, right after we get to Will, but I think we're in such a unique spot for the Milwaukee Bucks, because it feels like, yes, it is an upgrade. And I do feel like they have better chances than they did 48 hours ago. And they should be back in the conversation of, well, that could be a team to watch. But that's also relying on the biggest thing for the Bucks the last few seasons has been health, right? I mean, if they're healthy, yeah, I think they certainly have a chance. And then the other part is they are younger. They are faster than they have been in past years. But how much of a step can some of these guys take? Specifically looking at Kevin Porter Jr. and going, okay, can he evolve into your third scoring option after Turner and Antetokounmpo offensively? That would be big. And then Kuzma isn't, relied on as heavily as a scorer if he is on this roster. Though I would guess, if I was making a guess, Kyle Kuzma will not end the season with the Milwaukee Bucks. I would guess at the very latest he's gone at the deadline. All right, well, go ahead.
The Kyle Kuzma conversation is very interesting to me because within a month of the trade for him and giving up Chris Middleton, I felt like we won the trade. Because where the Bucks struggled the most last season were the last 3 minutes of the first quarter and the last 3 minutes of the third quarter. That's where they would lose leads. That's where they would give up a ton of points. Mm-hmm. And within that first month, Kyle Kuzma was the guy who you could rely on to take over. When Giannis and Dame came off the court, there wasn't really someone that would step up, Right. Love Chris, but he really wasn't that guy that could step up and handle the ball. And obviously at the end of the year, we had guys like Ryan Rollins and KPJ step up a lot and contribute a lot of scoring. But the Kyle Kuzma, we saw it. He was decent. And then at the end of the year, it just felt like he lost that confidence. And now the fact that they've taken away Ryan Rollins' contract, right? Is that what it was? They took away
they rescinded his qualifying offer. That doesn't necessarily mean he won't be back. But so he was a restricted free agent, which essentially meant any of the other 29 teams that offer Ryan Rollins a contract, the Bucks have the opportunity to say, yep, we'll match that. They rescinded that yesterday, which I thought was interesting. But as I've thought about it more, here's where my head's at. I'm thinking the market is so low for Ryan Rollins that they will be able to get him cheaper than maybe they would if another team was to make less than a minimum offer. So I think Ryan Rollins, I don't know. Eric Name was on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy this morning, and he effectively said, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen there. That's a unique one. And yesterday when it happened, given how fast-paced NBA free agency, especially John Horst and the Bucks were operating, I thought that meant something was coming quick. Clearly that hasn't been the case. They haven't made an acquisition since that point. That's like the latest news, and that was already 24 hours ago. But I don't know. I would guess maybe he will be back. I hope so, because I think the Bucks could certainly use a guy like him who's an up-and-comer and can provide some nice minutes off the bench like he did last season. So Rollins is one of the dominoes that I'm kind of waiting on to fall, but I don't know if that's still the big swing you're waiting for in terms of a ball handler. Because depending on the night and depending what your lineup looks like and what Doc gets locked in on next year, is he a 12 minutes a game guy? Is he a 24 minutes a game guy? Is he a 30? That's too much. Is he a 28 minutes a game guy, right? Like, I really don't know what Rollins' role becomes on this team because they do need a guy that can handle the ball and play that true point guard position, but I don't know what his role looks like. But at this point, I would say I'm leaning more 51% he's back, 49% he's not.
I would hope so.
I still think it's certainly up in the air, though. All right, so Tim Bontemps from the Hoop Collective, ESPN senior NBA writer, joined me yesterday in our specialty programming. And I think the national perspective is important. And I told him this when we talked. We had about a 15-minute conversation, which was a really good one. I just don't know if you're a Bucks fan, if you liked it. Because Bontemps feels very differently than I think Bucks fans do about the Myles Turner splash. And obviously the Damian Lillard piece of this is completely unheard of. I mean, it's record breaking in terms of deferred contracts. It's by far, I mean, like times 3, the last record, the biggest deferral in NBA history, or the biggest wave and stretch, I believe is the official term for this. It's $22+ million per year for 5 years on your books that you're paying to nobody, right? That doesn't go to a current player. $22 million a year is a lot of money. And I think the previous record was like $30 million over 5 years, way back in 2001 or 2000. So, I mean, they are smashing records with this Damian Lillard thing. But again, that's to give themselves some cap flexibility to make a move like a Myles Turner, which I think John Horst has made a living of, right? Making those big swings just to prove to Giannis Antetokounmpo, hey, we're still attempting to compete. There's no gap here. And that's a good sell by Horst, because I think at this point it's very, very, very clear that Giannis will be back in 25-26. So Tim Bontemps shed some light onto his thoughts from a national perspective. He covers all 30 NBA teams, primarily covers the Knicks, but really covers all 30 for ESPN. And I just thought his insight into what this means for the Bucks standing in the Eastern Conference and what this means about the Bucks, how they're handling this offseason and trying to gear up to become a contender again is fascinating. So here's Tim Bontemps with me yesterday.
The Bucks still have not replaced Damian Lillard. Myles Turner is a good player. I would say he's a slight to moderate upgrade on Brook Lopez, but he's not an all-star center. He's not one of the 5 best centers in the league, and he's essentially now going to be paid $50 million over the next 4 years, which is an awful lot of money to pay for Myles Turner.
Yeah. I mean, so essentially, I say effectively a lot recently. Has anybody picked up on that?
No, not yet.
It's made its way into my vocabulary quite often recently. So essentially what he's saying there is this is a move of desperation, which I think we can all agree with to a point, because all the chitter chatter the last several weeks has been, even months at this point, as the Bucks season came to an end at the end of April, the chitter chatter's been, well, Giannis is going to ask out. Giannis is going to want to go to New York. Giannis is going to want to go to Houston. Giannis is going to want to play elsewhere. Why would he wait it out with the Bucks? They're not going to compete for a championship next year. And as much as you want to ignore outside noise as a professional athlete or a general manager or a head coach, everybody hears it. Everybody knows what the talking heads are saying on ESPN TV or The Athletic or Bleacher Report or Turner Sports. Everybody hears it. Everybody knows what's going on. That's inside Fiserv Forum and inside the Bucks facility. They hear it. And what they hear is, oh, they're really doing this again. They really think we're not going to capitalize on Giannis Antetokounmpo's window, his peak. We're not going to capitalize on it. And John Horst, once again, it feels like really the third time in terms of big swings, says, come on. Like, we're going to do whatever it takes to keep Giannis. We're going to do whatever it takes to capitalize on the peak of Giannis's career. And capitalize, they are at least attempting to, by bringing in Myles Turner. So sure, it could be a move out of desperation. You can view it that way. Because I view it that way. It is a desperate move. But you have to be desperate for Giannis. Because once Giannis leaves, everything crumbles for the foreseeable future. And that is not a reality, John Horst. That is not a reality, Doc Rivers. That is not a reality that is not a reality I want to be a part of at least for the foreseeable future. Eventually that day will come where Giannis is no longer a Buck, whether that means he retired, whether that means he walked away, whether that means he signed with a different team in free agency, whether that means he was traded. There will eventually be life after Giannis. But that is not going to be today. And John Horst is damn sure it will not be today. And that's why you go ahead and make, if you want to call it desperate, sure, I'll allow it. I think it's fair that it's desperate. But you should be desperate when you have one of the best players in the league because you want to capitalize on the now. Hunter, go ahead.
You know, later on in the conversation that you had with Tim as well, he did talk about how, like, this is basically the same roster that they just had. Lose in the first rounds, which, like, fine, whatever. But I don't understand how people have watched Brook Lopez play center for the Bucks and say the Bucks getting a far younger and more athletic player who's statistically as good as Brook Lopez is somehow making this team the same. Like, do we not remember the 2021 run where they almost had to sit Brook for stretches of those games against the Hawks because he was just getting killed on the pick and roll because he couldn't get out there to defend anything, and then he was getting blown past by faster players all the time? Like, he looked like a 50-year-old man playing basketball at the Y. Like, great, he could hit threes and he could block some shots, but that's all he was doing. Like, if Myles Turner is out there and all of a sudden has to defend somebody's small forward on a possession because of a switch, I'm fine with that because he can actually keep up with guys. Brook was never doing that. This team will be better defensively because they have a more athletic center. And that alone helps this team immensely. So this idea that he's just like, oh, he's just slightly better. Like, yeah, if you just look at a box score, but it's like Brian Windhorst, Tim Bontemps aren't actually watching the games, and they're just saying this because, oh, well, the Bucks did this thing, and we don't want Giannis in Milwaukee, so we've got to try and spin this any way we can to say it.
I don't think that's it.
It is. It absolutely is.
It's not that.
These guys, it is, Strouf. That's exactly what this is.
I think what Bucks fans are doing is undervaluing Brook Lopez. Right? Like, I understand he's old. I understand he's slow. I understand he's not as good as he once was. But let's keep in mind, he was second place for Defensive Player of the Year 2 years ago. Right? Like, this is still a very good basketball
he got a bunch
player.
of blocks.
That's why he got paid what he did by the Clippers.
The second he had to defend anybody outside of 5 feet, he was garbage. That's not going to be what happens now with Myles Turner. And he can hold his own still down low.
Don't get me wrong, Hunter. I'm not disagreeing with you. I do think it's an undeniable upgrade. But I think Brook Lopez still, and I know he's older, he's moving slower. I get all that. But he's still got tread on the tires. That's why he got picked up. That's why he's not still sitting in free agency. He was a priority for the Clippers. That was their first splash in free agency. No pun intended. So I think from a national perspective, they view what Brook Lopez provided to the Bucks the last few years, and they look at Myles Turner and they go, yeah, it's an upgrade. But I don't think it's an upgrade that elevates you to the top seed in the Eastern Conference. I think that's the point they're trying to make. I don't think they have a vendetta of trying to get Giannis to leave Milwaukee, though I know many people hold. I know you're not the only one that feels that way, but we will see. We will see. I'm super intrigued by the rest of the moves, though. I think Gary Harris is a fun depth play on a cheap deal. Obviously, he's been in the league for a long time. Another guy who's won an NBA title, by the way, won in Denver a couple of years ago, who we didn't mention before. So I think that's a fun one. It's a depth play. I mean, if you get to the postseason, I imagine you're not going to see a ton of minutes out of him, but it's a fun ad. Gary Trent back on the deal he's on is huge. I mean, we saw how good he was for the Bucks against Indiana in that 5-game series. So I think John Horst is cooking, man. I mean, you cannot give him enough credit because for what so many of us as Bucks fans viewed for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks was, 25-26 might be a slow burn. They might be like a 7 seed. They might be in the play-in, but Giannis is going to have great numbers. He's going to be fun to watch. No longer the case. There's a team that's legitimately going to compete. And I think a lot of us hold the same regard, right? Like, in terms of regular season, the Pistons might have a better record. But if you see the Bucks and the Pistons in an NBA playoff series next year, as it stands on paper right now, I think we're all leaning Bucks. I don't view this team if they're healthy. And again, the NBA playoffs is so crucial in health. If this team is healthy, I don't think anybody's picking against them unless it gets to a Cavaliers matchup or a Knicks matchup.
We also just saw with the Pacers too, making a run as the 4 seed, and the reason they were able to do that is because of their depth.
Depth and health. Yeah.
They were playing 12 guys a night in the finals. That's unheard of. That does not happen usually. Like if you look at the Thunder, they don't play that many guys. So to re-sign even guys like Jericho Sims, who looked a lot better in the playoffs than he did in the regular season as a young guy that can jump out of the gym and play some good defense for you. I mean, that's massive.
Yeah, the Pacers in real games, and there was a couple blowouts in the finals, but in real games they were playing like 8 or 9 deep, which is big.
Yeah.
I don't know if the Bucks, as it stands right now, you probably have 7 or 8 guys you're really comfortable with playing. I think both of your re-signings, obviously Kevin Porter Jr., Gary Trent Jr., you feel good about Giannis. Obviously, you feel great about Myles Turner. And then it gets interesting, right? Obviously, Bobby Portis. I'm not mentioning Kyle Kuzma on purpose, just for the record. I think that's a guy, obviously, that would be out there. But I'm not mentioning him on purpose because I'm not positive he'll be a member of this roster. Bobby Portis you feel good about. I think you feel good about A.J. Green, Gary Harris in spots, Taurean Prince to a point. So you've got pieces, but you could really use a bolster in the backcourt. You feel great about your front court between Giannis and Myles Turner and Bobby Portis off the bench. But what can you do in the backcourt? That's where it comes into play. But Gary Trent was awesome for them down the stretch. So hopefully, back on a cheap deal. Again, I think he left money on the table. You feel fine about what he's going to bring. So we will see. Kevin on the text line, 800-990-3776. If the Bucks keep Kuzma, they have to sign Russell Westbrook. That second team lineup would be a deadly foil for when Giannis is off the court. I struggle with the Westbrook thing because I imagine of all people in the world, I think most would expect me to be the one to make the case for Russell Westbrook. But I really struggle with it because his style of play is not what the Bucks need.
Does not fit their brand.
No.
Whatsoever.
And as I said earlier, I think teams need to adjust more to Westbrook than Westbrook needs to adjust to the team, just given his style of play. And while his style of play is fun and entertaining, he's not MVP Russ. He's not triple-double Russ anymore. He's give me 20 minutes off the bench max Russ now. And while I can appreciate what that second team lineup would look like and, fantasize about, Taurean Prince, Bobby Portis, and Russell Westbrook on the court at the same time. Can you imagine the level of trash talking with those three on the court at the same time? Opponents would poop themselves against Westbrook, Prince, and Portis. Those are like 3 of the best trash talkers in the entire NBA. Be awesome. But I don't know. I don't see it working, A, and B, I don't see it happening. But if it happens, you best believe I'll be rocking a Russell Westbrook jersey. Best believe that. All right, that's our recap on the Bucks stuff. I mean, what a 48 hours it was. Really nice work by John Horst.
It was move after move after move. Couldn't even get a breath in.
It was fast. It was
all in like an hour and a half period.
On Monday night, and then obviously yesterday with the Myles Turner news, into the Damian Lillard news, and then just a soft launch of Gary Harris somewhere in there as well, all within
and then re-signing like Jericho Sims.
Yeah, Jericho Sims is back, and then you had obviously, as we talked about a little bit earlier, the Ryan Rollins news of them rescinding his qualifying offer. So we will see. We will see on that. But I want to get to the Packers quick on this, just because, look, it's the middle of the offseason. We are inching closer and closer to eventual training camp. But right now, I feel very excited about this wide receiving group because it's that time of the year, baby. Roll the tape, Hunter. Matthew Golden out with his trainer, running routes, doing cone drills, just looks fast as hell. He looks so fast. And the speed dynamic is one this offense desperately needs. So we will see. I don't know what this is, but I like this. Is this just my ranting music?
No, come on, man. This is Public Enemy. Don't believe the hype. But then I have the lower third for those not watching. Do believe the hype. You got to educate yourself, man.
That's a very clever play by you. I just wasn't catching. I didn't know if you downloaded like new bump music for when I'm on a roll, when I'm on my what JOSHY calls a diatribe.
When we need to let you cook, I can download this.
I like this. It's a good beat. So look, I do buy into the hype because there are no excuses left. And that's something we've talked about all offseason, especially when it comes to the quarterback Jordan Love. There's no excuses left. You've got an upgraded offensive line. You have one of the best workhorse running backs in the league in Josh Jacobs. And they have once again invested in the wide receiver position. Between Matthew Golden, Savion Williams, Romeo Doubs, Dontavian Wicks, Jaden Reed, who will be healthy to start the season, hopefully, knock on wood. And then Christian Watson, and we played his video a couple weeks ago where he's rehabbed seemingly as ahead of schedule. I mean, he was cutting in June. You hope you have him back by maybe after the bye week, early October? I'm not a doctor, so maybe it's still Thanksgiving or November like it was initially guessed, but he's young, good player, he's quick, and I don't know, man. It's the offseason, so yeah, I'm going to buy into the propaganda from the wide receivers. Of course I am. Matthew Golden is so fast, though. The way they utilize him is going to be so fun to see. Excuses are gone for this offense. You have one of the best offensive minds, creative minds in the NFL on your offense, leading your offense, calling the plays, designing that offense. You have an up-and-coming quarterback, one of the best running backs, an upgraded offensive line, 2 good tight ends, and a wide receiver group with a chip on their shoulder ready to prove a lot in 25.
I mean, the first jet sweep that he runs with 2 blockers in front of him.
Watch out.
Round in the corner. That'll be pretty electric.
Watch out. Watch out.
This is such an off-season, oh my gosh, you saw one video of it. I'm waiting.
Yeah. 100%.
Come on. I understand we got to talk some Packers or something, but I'll play it again. He's cutting around a couple of cones. In no world in the NFL are you moving like that for a route. So that does nothing.
Oh, sure you are. Zigzag. Little zigzag route.
That's not a route. What are we doing?
Sure it is.
Stop it. I understand, be excited about the tape that you saw from him at Texas or when you actually see him on the field in 11 on 11s. But if it's anything that it's a skeleton, 7 on 7 stuff, or it's this kind of thing, don't get your hopes up. I have seen this too many times to sit here and try and say that is proof that he is going to be great. All that tells me is he knows where a cone is.
Just want to point out the last 2 number 23 overall picks in the NFL draft. Just want to point this out. 2 years ago, Jordan Addison. Last year, Brian Thomas Jr. This year, Matthew Golden. Just saying. Good lineage at pick 23 the last couple of years.
And I'm just going to say that every one of the teams that won the Super Bowl, the sky was blue. Cool. I did the same thing, man. That's all you did.
This is what makes the NFL offseason great, is getting excited about the dumbest things.
About nonsense.
Yes.
Which is what I often get excited
about. Did you break the mic again?
It's not broken necessarily. It just doesn't fit into... Watch my phrasing here. It doesn't fit into the hole very well.
Hey.
Yeah. So it kind of falls out sometimes, and there's the sticky adhesive that puts it around the mic guard. And I know, right? So I'm trying to make it work, but I'm doing my best here. Sometimes I just have to hold it. Okay, each and every week on Wednesdays, we do a couple of things. He's been promoted to the studio chair today because JOSHY is taking his 4th of July vacation a little early. Will Sommers recaps the week that was in Will Sommers / Chris Berman fashion and leads us through our Will Sommers Wednesday week in review. Will, the floor is yours.
Will Summerfest.
Oh, no.
Summerfest week 2. Strouf, how many have you been to every day of Summerfest so far?
I missed last Thursday. I've been to 5 of 6.
Who'd you see that was good this past weekend?
I saw the Killers Friday, saw Young the Giant Saturday. Those are probably the 2 big ones.
No Riley Green?
I don't even know who that is.
Okay. Country.
I saw the Brewers were actually at his show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I think my guy Salvatore was there. I don't know. You got something cooking. Go ahead.
Summerfest week 2. Hunter, hit it.
Before I hit the music, Brewers have the bases juiced with only 1 out, by the way. Just needed to let you guys know.
Let's go. Needed that. All right. Recent news, the Milwaukee Bucks have waived Damian Lillard to sign Myles Turner for the 2025 season. While some Bucks fans may feel bad for Lillard, he will still be receiving the $113 million he was owed by the Bucks, meaning he will have no trouble purchasing a lot of plain white tees. Rumors have been swirling around TJ Watt potentially being traded after his relationship with the Steelers has frayed. Some some people are saying that he may look good in Riley green and gold. Despite having a number of impressive seasons, he could get even better in Green Bay, because we all know that we do things a little different around here. It's a Riley Green song. You would know it. It's whatever. The Brewers took 2 out of 3 from the Rockies over the weekend, resulting in their 3rd consecutive series win. With their 16-9 June record and being the 9th youngest roster in Major League Baseball, the Brewers have started to become a young the Giant. That's almost done, don't worry. The Brewers game yesterday was postponed, unfortunately. But on the Mr. Bright side, we now get to watch Miz and Freddie start in the same day during today's doubleheader.
I liked that one.
For reasons unknown, somebody told me that both the Miz and Freddie have already apologized for all these things that I've done, from all the nasty pitches they threw at the Mets lineup, ultimately becoming the killers of their offense.
That's good.
With your Mr. Irrelevant weekend Will Summerfest recap, I'm Will Summerfest Summers.
I'm Will Summerfest. It's bad on us for not thinking of the Will Summers Fest reference earlier.
Yeah, I said it last week. It just came to me when you were introducing that. I'm talking about Summerfest.
I think it went over my head last week if you said it, so that's on me.
Probably.
That would have been a good way to give away tickets. So maybe that's something we can do next year, is just do Will Summers Fest and make people find you out in Milwaukee.
Yeah, just give me 10 tickets, and if you find me, you get a ticket.
Yeah, well, I think you could give them all 10 tickets, but yeah.
Oh, I could do that too.
Probably give away 100 tickets.
Where would I go? Would I just have to get lost?
Well, yeah, you get lost and you post a picture of your POV, and then people have to find you.
Yeah, you call into the show.
Yeah, I'm not very good directionally either, so I would have no trouble not giving away where I am.
Sure, I hear you on that. I'm also bad directionally.
But then
being bad at directions is kind of fun.
It's fun. It's very fun. I agree with you on that.
If no one comes to find him, though, does Will just have to camp out there until someone finds him?
Yes.
So it's 100%. Overnight, got to just sit on this random park bench in Milwaukee.
Yeah. I could do that.
Wouldn't be the first person to do it.
One thing about me is I don't quit.
No, you don't.
I'm not a quitter.
No, just like this segment, which maybe we should have quit several weeks ago, but here we are.
One more week of Summerfest.
All right, yeah. Can't wait for on the Mr. Bright side. We also do One Word Wednesday every Wednesday. Hunter's got a list of topics we missed throughout the week, and we respond with one word. Hunter?
Okay, there we go. Both songs were playing at the same time, and my brain hurt. Sorry. I almost broke the computer.
It's a nice remix.
DJ Strouf.
No. Possible free agent that's out there for the Milwaukee Bucks to add a point guard, bring him back home, Malcolm Brogdon.
Money's my word. I just don't know how they make it work. He's probably one of the, if not the, free agent out there that's going to get the most money on the open market. Now, that's not a ton of money because no teams have money in the NBA right now, other than I think Utah. No, they've made moves now. Maybe what? Washington might be the only team with actual cap space. So, yeah, I the word's money. I don't know how you make it work, but yes, I'd be all for it. I actually have, back from my Lids days, I have a Milwaukee Bucks hat, and there was a rule my final year or two at Lids where any hat you wore while you were working, you had to have an inscription of some sort in it because we stitch things. That was part of my job where I would sell an inscription or a customized image or text or whatever that you would put on the side panels of a hat. So a lot of people would put their last name or something, and I would stitch that on there. But anyway, so if you were wearing one, you had to wear an inscription so you could sell what you're wearing, right? And I have a hat that has a Malcolm Brogdon fake signature with ROI, Rookie of the Year, inscribed in my hat. And I haven't been able to wear the hat, but I really like the hat because I don't want to walk around with a Malcolm Brogdon signature on my hat. So if he was to come back, that would be convenient. I could wear that hat again. So either money or hat are my words.
I'll go complete. Like you said, I'm not really sure about the money, but I do feel like they are a guard like him away from being able to call themselves real contenders in the East. So I'll go complete. He would complete the offseason for them.
You complete the offseason for me, Will.
Thanks.
Now this is awkward. NHL players will be able to participate in the Olympics for the first time since 2014.
I gotta be honest, hand up here. Didn't know that. Didn't know they weren't able to compete in 2018 or 2022. Shows you how much Winter Olympics I watch. Sorry, Matt Hamilton. So, unknown gonna be my word.
I'm gonna go defeating. Does this defeat the Four Nations for next year then? Because that was awesome to watch this year. But I guess it is because they did Sweden and Finland. It was only the four, obviously. Yeah, I'm gonna go rocks. It kind of rocks. Anything that hockey and the NHL does outside of the league compared to the other sports is awesome.
The fact that we have restrictions for players to represent their country in the Olympics is stupid. That's why the flag football news was big for the NFL players. I honestly didn't realize that hockey players couldn't compete for the last two Olympics.
Well, because they would take an Olympic break during the season. And then it was like the players' union and the league couldn't come to an agreement for those, so then they canceled it, or it like came to a close, and now they've come to a new agreement, so they were able to bring it back.
Gotcha.
So that's why like the NBA doesn't have to worry about it because it's not during their season.
Right.
Otherwise, they would have the same thing. My wife has turned me into more of a tennis fan, and Wimbledon is going on right now. And there have been a ton of upsets at Wimbledon. I'm just going to run you through the seed numbers because I'm not going to try and pronounce a lot of these names. But on the women's side, the 2, 3, 5, 9, 15, 20, 25, and 26th and 32nd ranked players in the world all lost in the first round. For the men, the 4th, 9th, and now Francis Tiafoe lost, the 12th seed, the American, on the men's side have all lost here at the beginning of Wimbledon. Thoughts?
Wow. GOAT. It's an acronym. Greatest of all time. I mean, look, Wimbledon's amazing. Tennis is a great sport. I'm glad you're getting into it. I haven't watched any of Wimbledon yet, admittedly, but I will. And that's exciting. Love it. Love a good upset. GOAT.
Back. I think tennis is back.
I think so, too.
Carlos Alcaraz was awesome.
Yep.
I know there was a great match. I'm blanking on who he was against, but it was like 4 hours long, and I know a lot of people were tuned into it, and it was super exciting. So I think tennis is on the rise.
That was the French Open final. It went 5.5 hours.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. That one.
That has to take so much willpower and stamina, and like I can't even imagine playing tennis for 5.5 hours.
Well, think about because like golf probably takes about that time to play 18 holes, and you're constantly moving fastly in tennis. It's got to take a lot.
No, you're winded, right? Where
Yeah.
golf, especially if you're driving. If you're walking, I would understand why you'd get a little tired. But if you're driving, I mean, like, you're fine. I golfed 18 on, what day was that? Friday.
Cool.
Thanks. Played best ball. I actually played all right.
I golfed on Friday.
I made it through the first 12 holes without losing a ball. That's the longest streak.
Wow.
In this
That's
pretty
career. Yeah, not bad. And then I lost 3 more.
It's okay. Happens.
EA Sports announced that the college basketball video game will be coming back. They're slated to return for 2028.
I have 2 words here. Overdue and superior. Overdue, they should have brought it back when football got brought back. Superior, it's going to be better than the college football game.
Overrated. I think it's going to be like the college football game where there's a lot of interest in the first year and then it kind of just dies down. I'm not really interested in buying either of those games, to be completely honest.
Well, that kind of makes my last one here tough because last year I did this. Will, you weren't around yet, but I made Strouf pick the first team that I would do a dynasty or start with.
Yes.
And he picked the Toledo Rockets.
I did.
So we're going to bring
again?
that back today, and I need the team that I will start with next week when 26 comes out for college football.
Okay. All right. I think we can get fun here. So this is all FBS schools, correct?
Yep. There are 2 new schools with Delaware coming in and Missouri State.
That could be fun.
Those would be the 2 worst teams in the game.
I got my answer.
You know, I love some action, so I might go back there, but I'm not completely sold on the action yet. So, what conferences? Because we can't go SEC, we can't go Big Ten, right?
No
we have
power.
We have to go mid-major.
Yeah, and I'll start as like the OC at this school.
Okay, I think I have a pick, but I'm not I'm not sold on it. Will, what's yours?
I like Conference USA, Western Kentucky. I think they have both the new teams you just listed, Delaware and Missouri State. So probably could win that conference first year pretty easily. And I think Western Kentucky.
I like how you're thinking about his winning ability. That's good.
Bailey Zappi went there. He was pretty good. Played
They
for
do
the
have some
Patriots
cool
for a little
uniforms.
bit. I think, yeah, they got a traditionally explosive offense for that conference. I'll go Western Kentucky, the Hilltoppers.
I mean, I love Go Big Red, right? Isn't that them?
No,
that's Nebraska.
Cornell too.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the Sun Belt this year.
Ooh.
I'm between two, though.
Okay, which two?
I think Troy could be our winner.
Alma mater of DeMarcus Ware, former Cowboy.
I also think Georgia State could be our winner. So you're a Panther. What's Troy? Trojans?
Yes.
Yep.
So you're either a Panther or a Trojan. I think it's Georgia State or Troy. I think Troy could be fun.
What about Marshall in that conference?
Marshall's too
The
popular.
Thundering
Yeah.
Herd.
They're too popular.
I like Troy. Have the Cowboy connection there. Could run the 3-4 defense that got him into DeMarcus Ware into the NFL. I'm going Troy. I think that's my winner.
All right. Congratulations to Troy. You've been selected as Hunter Vaughn's team this year. Let's go Trojans.
I will be
Trojan
sending you
horses.
guys updates throughout the day like I did last year. Too bad it isn't during
When's
the
game
show.
Released?
It'll be Thursday. So I'll be playing that until 5 p.m. when my wife and I go to the premiere of Superman because you guys are bad friends and won't go with me.
I thought that happened already.
Yeah, I did too. He brought that up weeks in advance. He really wanted us to go with him.
Yeah, because it's going to be awesome. They
So
actually
Thursday the
understand
10th,
Superman.
next Thursday?
Yeah. I get college football
so I will
26
be-
all day, and then I
I
go
will be
into...
in Los Angeles. Strouf's going Hollywood next week.
Entourage.
Yeah, I'm going Hollywood next week. I'm going to LA and then Vegas for a couple days. So I will be off, but we will still have a show. I'm going to have some pre-recorded content. We have our annual State of the Packers show coming up Saturday at Summerfest. So we are going to pre-package a couple of shows together for you out of that because those conversations are awesome with my friends Gabe Neitzel and Jason Wilde, where we do a deep dive overview into like all things Packers. It's a really fun show. If you don't catch it live, we're going to air some replays of that next Wednesday, next Friday, and the following Monday while we are off. Little midsummer break, and then we'll get back, and training camp's a week away. Or 2 weeks away, I guess, when I get back. So, yeah, it's already here. But I'm going Hollywood. Hunter is going Troy. Where is Troy? What U.S. state is it in? Does anybody know? Hold on. Before anybody looks it up, does anybody know the answer off the top of their head?
Good guess.
I'm almost positive it's Alabama.
Well, you didn't even let me guess.
It's in the Sun Belt region of the United States.
You told us to, say what we thought it would be.
I thought it was in Tennessee.
I was gonna say Pennsylvania.
What?
They're in the
they
Sun
play in
Belt
the
Conference.
Sun Belt.
Yeah, I don't know who else plays in the Sun Belt. Like Texas, isn't Texas like state in the Sun Belt?
I guess
Texas,
conference realignment. App State.
Yeah.
App State's in the Sun Belt?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize
That's
that.
App State, Arkansas State, Sam Houston, I believe, is in the Sun Belt.
shout
Texas
out
State
Phil
just
Longo.
went to the Pac-12.
Friend of show Phil Longo is the head coach at Sam Houston now.
Mabry Matoyer.
Again, I think.
Braden Locke went down there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think they might have both did.
Oh.
I think that's where Mabry is. I don't know where Braden Locke is.
UTEP?
No, it's Sam Houston.
Sam Houston.
No, Braden Locke's at Arizona.
Oh. So then, Mabry
no, I think
Matoyer went
Mabry-
down to...
Maybe Matoyer. Yeah, because he's from Texas. Yes, that's correct. Yeah, he's at he's with the Bearcats with Phil Longo, who's their new head coach, entering his first season.
They've got some
That's
good
fun.
uniforms. Orange and white.
Maybe you should be Sam Houston.
No, I did that a lot last year. They had a really fun offense. They had a
Bearcats.
quarterback that was really mobile. So I want to change it up. I don't think I ever used Troy.
Interesting.
I played
All right,
I played
time now for-
25 way too much. Like pushing 300 hours of gameplay in a year.
Yeah, I don't know how you do that, man. I don't have time for that.
Well, this
Or
is the
the
nice thing.
attention
My
span.
wife travels for work, so she'll just be gone for
sure.
stretches. So it's I come home, eat dinner, I'm playing until midnight, and then
It's crazy.
yeah, I've
I
got
played video
playbooks
games for
memorized.
30 minutes yesterday. 30 minutes.
Every now and again, I'll fire
was
up like an old
fatigued.
NHL game, Like NHL 20. NHL's a lot of fun to play.
I get stuck on old sports games. Like, I don't buy a lot of video games. I also have an old system now where I can't even buy new games anymore. I have an Xbox. I think it's an Xbox One.
Yeah.
Is that the old one?
That's what I have too.
Yeah.
So I've been playing some WWE 2K23. Been playing some NBA 2K19. Some Madden 25. Not 2025, like the one with John Madden on it.
That one was awesome.
That was good.
That was one of my favorite video games of all time, probably.
Madden 07 still takes the cake for me. Wish I could still play
Madden
that,
03.
Oh, well. 03 was the one before Vic. Who was on the cover of 03?
Marshall Falk.
Oh, wow. That's a throwback.
Yeah.
Does anyone want to feel old?
Yeah.
I was 1 when Madden 03 came out.
So you were born in 01?
Oh, maybe I wasn't born yet.
The games come out a year before they're titled.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Then I might not have been born
So
yet.
Madden 03 came out in 2002.
Yeah. I was not
August
born.
of 2002.
Yeah. I was not born yet.
You're December of 02? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel old.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel old.
I was in middle school.
Sorry. To be fair, I asked beforehand.
Hunter goes, I was in middle school. I was not in any school yet. Maybe preschool, but still, no, I was in preschool. Yikes.
Man.
All right, time now for what we missed. What we
Time's
learned.
crazy.
It's presented by Time is crazy. It's presented by Door County Distillery, locally produced, handcrafted, award-winning spirits, made locally in beautiful Door County. If you're heading up to Door County, you got to check them out in Carlsville, just north of Sturgeon Bay. Do the tours, do the tastings, get the exclusive product, sit at the bar, talk to our friend Rob, talk to our friend Beth, check out the winery that's connected. It's all in the same family. DoorCountyDistillery.com is their website. You can also bring Door County to you. Graduation parties are still going on. I know that. You got tailgates. You got the 4th of July coming up if you're out on the boat. You get brandies for your old fashions, whiskeys for your old fashions. Maybe you're feeling a little rum in the summertime. The Rock Island rum is delicious. I got a bottle of that in my house. I think I'm going to break out this weekend for the 4th, as we'll be spending a lot of time outside. DoorCountyDistillery.com is the website to find the retailer nearest you. All right, what do we got? What do we miss? What do we learn?
I have an injury report.
Uh-oh.
The Red Panda went down last night.
I
I don't know if you guys saw this.
Yeah, I saw that.
I almost couldn't really sleep.
Yeah, it's devastating.
At the halftime of the WNBA Cup WNBA Cup championship between the Fever and the Lynx, she fell off her unicycle and was seen holding her left wrist.
I saw the footage. So she was on the unicycle. There was no bowls involved yet. So as I've mentioned on this program before, sick brag by me. My girlfriend used to dance in the NBA. She was a dancer for the Indiana Pacers, a pacemate, as they call them. And so she obviously has interacted with Red Panda. And I was sitting on the couch next to her, and I go, oh, my God, you're not going to believe what I just saw. And I just handed her my phone. She goes, oh, no. So this is before any bowls were involved. She's rolling around in the unicycle. It seems like her act was just beginning at halftime of the Commissioner's Cup, which the Fever ended up winning. Shout out Sophie Cunningham and Caitlin Clark, although I don't think Caitlin Clark played.
No, she did not.
But Red Panda just falls off this thing. I mean, this thing is so tall. It's like 15 feet in the air. And she lands on a rump, it looked like. I mean, she landed and she was sitting up and her legs were out. And then she grabbed her wrist, and then she got assistance walking off, and then they eventually wheelchaired her off, and she went to a hospital. We don't know what the injury report. You don't have an injury report. You just have that we're injured.
Yeah.
You have the
We don't know
news
what
that
the
the
injury-
injury
Red Panda
took place.
Yeah.
Yes.
Red Panda keeps it confidential.
It feels rude to laugh at that.
What?
Feels rude to laugh at that. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, Salvatore's got a
I know
full
you're
count.
not. Oh, boy.
Think about it.
Oh,
The
that
Red
was a
Panda
bad
doesn't
swing.
have an off season.
Struck out.
No, but he went after a pitch, was early, and it was a dribbler. The pitcher got to it, tossed it to first. 2 outs now.
Damn. All right. Yeah, Red Panda. It's truly devastating. Like, I'm not even being sarcastic when I say that. Nobody is more famous for halftime performances than her. So I hope she gets well. I hope this doesn't scare her out of ever doing this again, because that's a long fall. Maybe we should shorten the unicycle a little bit.
I mean, I feel though. Hang on, you asserted something that I think we have to circle back to here. No one's more famous for half times than Red Panda. So you don't think that like the Florida A&M marching band, like any of the HBCU marching bands, are a bigger deal than Red Panda?
Well, what I just said, Red Panda doesn't have an off season.
Right.
She is consistently doing halftime shows year round.
Yeah. I think she is the most famous halftime show. She's
Yeah.
55 years old.
Wow.
Like, she's still out there doing that. It's crazy.
And the fact that this has never happened before in all the years of seeing her do this kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. That does it for us today. We're back with you Monday. Enjoy your 4th of July. Enjoy your weekend like Joshy's already doing. Will, decent job today stepping in for Joshy.
Thanks.
How do you think it went?
I came in like the 5th inning, middle reliever. Starter wasn't doing too hot. I went like 4 innings, 2 runs, 5 hits, 3 walks, and 2 strikeouts.
Wait, how many at-bats did you have?
I'm pitching.
Oh.
Middle reliever.
Okay. Speaking of at-bats, you've been playing in your men's league.
Yeah, bad night last night for me.
How'd it go last night?
I was 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. Tough, but we got the win.
Oh, you won?
Yeah, we won.
Oh, I figured when you told me that was your line, it was bonkers bad.
I'm probably one of the worst hitters on the team, so that's kind of expected from me. But you always just use the excuse that catchers are defense first.
Okay. I do have a text from our buddy Justin Garcia just quickly on 2 things we've talked about today. Justin Garcia of the Milwaukee Bucks Radio Network, who's watching the show today. Shout out JG. He said 2 things. Russell Westbrook is not happening. I'm a little sad, but I don't think it is either. Number 2, Ryan Rollins being rescinded had everything to do with the cap and being able to sign Myles Turner. So I think that means there's still potential he could be back. So good news from a man much smarter than us and Justin Garcia. Thank you, JG. All right, that does it for us today. We're back with you Monday. Enjoy the holiday weekend. I'll see you at Summerfest. I think I'm going to be there all 3 days. Maybe. We'll find out. Gary Lewis and the Playboys, by the way. You guys probably have no idea who that is. They have not released a song since the 1970s. They're playing Summerfest this week.
I know who they are. I worked at a classic hits station.
Let me rephrase. There's no shot Will knows who Gary Lewis and the Playboys is.
There's
I think you mentioned to me a couple months ago when the Summerfest lineup came out.
I'm just still blown away. I don't think I legitimately believe they have not released a song since like 1972. It's been over 50 years.
Yeah, but they get the boomers going, so you got to get the boomers to Summerfest too.
I'm going to that show. I need to see it. I'm so intrigued by it. Okay, we got to go. Talk to you Monday. Enjoy your weekend. Peace.